Hello, it's Mr. Bush here with Science Time. Today we're going to learn about valence electrons and basically how they relate to groups and reactivity on the periodic table. So, first off, we need to figure out what are valence electrons. Well, before we can do that, we have to define a few things about an atom. Alright. Now, when the electrons orbit around the nucleus, they orbit in these set layers called energy levels. So think of it kind of like the planet's orbits. Each planet orbits in a set, basically, pattern. So basically the electron cloud is made up of these orbitals where each electron orbits at a set level, once again, very similar to our planets. So what we're going to start focusing on is the outside layer, because that's going to be the layer that contains our valence electrons. Now, all a valence electron is basically an electron that is found on the outside layer of an atom. So if you look there, chlorine has 7 valence electrons, because there are 7 electrons in that outside layer. Now, once again, I know what y'all are thinking. Well, it has 17 total. Well, for valence electrons, all we care about is the outside layer. Now, let's go ahead and look at how we would find these on the periodic table. Alright, if you look here at this periodic table, it's basically trying to show you that everything in the same group has the same number of valence electrons. If y'all look here at group 1, every element in group 1 would have 1 valence electron. And in group 2, everything would have 2. And over here at 13, 13, so forth and so on. So basically that explains why they are grouped together. They're all grouped together because they have the same number of valence electrons. Now, go ahead and look at this other periodic table real quick. Once again, it's basically showing you the same thing, that even though every element in those groups doesn't have the same number of electrons, they have the same number of valence electrons, which are going to be the outside ring. Now, if y'all look here, there is only one exception to this rule, and that is going to be helium, right over here. So, helium is in group 18, but it only has 2 valence electrons because it only has 2 electrons total. Alright, now let's go ahead and look at how we're going to find valence electrons on your paper. Now, if you look at the basically the top portion of the periodic table, right below every group number is a number that says like 1A, 2A, 3A, something like that. That will basically tell you the number of valence electrons in that group. Now, that number 1A, 2A, 3A, below the group number, that's the number of valence electrons in that entire group. So example, everything in group 1 has 1 valence electron. Everything in group 2 has 2. 3, everything in group 3, boron, aluminum, gallium, all of those have 3 valence electrons. Same thing for group 14. Carbon has 4 valence electrons, silicon, germanium, tin, all of those have 4 valence electrons. So forth. This pattern sticks true for all the elements with one exception, and that is going to be helium. Alright, let's look at one last thing before we go. Alright, now the valence electrons, like we've already said, are going to be on the outside layer of the atom, which means if another atom bumps into it, the first thing they're going to make contact with is going to be the valence electrons. So, valence electrons determines how an element reacts because it's going to be the first thing another element comes in contact with, which is why everything in the same group reacts the same way. Alright, hopefully this helps y'all, and have a great day.